All right, and we back on the forecast. So out in Chicago, a 10-year-old boy who was just playing in his grandparents' yard, when Chicago police handcuffed him and detained him for no particular reason. So let's go back and see what happened with this young 10-year-old brother and why police decided to handcuff and detain him.
That ain't got no guy.
That's our kid.
Then why you asking for the gun and we tell you you're a kid, man?
Unbelievable.
Once we figure this out.
Unbelievable. He's a kid. They making him pee on himself and all of that. He's scared.
Listen, we gotta call the person with a gun, a juvenile, all blue. We get out the car, he starts running. That's why he's in handcuffs.
They scared. Y'all killed his cousin. Why not run? They all. I understand. Don't you know? Oh my God.
That ain't got no guy.
That's our.
I wonder why there's this fear of police from people and why there's tension between the black community and police. It's because of videos like this, a 10-year-old handcuffed because he fit the description. Take a look for yourself at this video. It's going all around the country right now, people talking about it. Chicago police say they got a report that someone in the area was carrying a gun. Officers say Michael Thomas Jr. ran away when he was approached by police. The video shows the boy sitting on the police car with his hands cuffed behind his back. He's so scared in the video, he even starts peeing on himself. You can also see and hear the family members gathering around. They're trying to convince the officers they have the wrong person. 15 minutes later, police let him go. CPD Superintendent Eddie Johnson, he's now talking about this. He's defending his officers, saying they followed all rules and protocols. He wants the public to keep in mind it's difficult to tell right off the bat the age of someone they're trying to get, and he claims he was handcuffed for safety reasons, but he says he feels for the family and wants to investigate to make sure things were done properly. This comes off a turbulent week when there was a officer-involved shooting just the other day, and you hear police community relations mentioned as sort of a buzzword of sorts. This kind of underscoring why it's so important the two come together, because videos like this really keeping that divide even wider and putting people deeper into their own camps.
So this 10-year-old young brother was at his grandparents' house outside playing when the police approached him and they claimed it was mistaken identity. In one report, they said they were looking for an escaped juvenile who was armed. But then in another report, they said they got a call about an armed juvenile. Now this 10-year-old who doesn't have a gun and who was just outside minding his own business, they said he fit the description, and when they tried to approach him, he took off running. And I don't blame him. Even a 10-year-old kid can see what's going on right now. Now luckily there were people there that made sure it didn't go past that point, and they were able to get it on video. But of course, the police superintendent, Eddie Johnson, already had his cape on and was out there defending the cops. He said they didn't do anything wrong and they follow all the rules and protocol.
A family outrage tonight over the video that you're watching right now. It shows police officers handcuff a 10-year-old boy. His family says it was a case of mistaken identity, and they want action. Now the police department responds. NBC5's Regina Waldrop is on the story. She is live with the latest. Regina.
Now, Allison, Michael tells me he is a good kid. He says he is into math and into baseball, and he says he tried several times to tell police they had the wrong person, but they just wouldn't listen.
That's our kid.
The video is still hard for Star Ramsey to watch.
Just to hear it all, because I wasn't here.
In it, you see her young son, 10-year-old Michael, a fourth grader, handcuffed and standing in front of a squad car.
Unbelievable. He's a kid.
I need to apologize, and he's going to be scared for the rest of his life now.
The incident happened last week while Michael was at his grandmother's house. Where did this happen at?
Right here.
Michael says officers told him they were looking for a young black male with a gun, and he fit the description.
They put me in handcuffs. I was scared, I was crying, and I had used it on myself. And then that's when they told me I escaped from juvenile and I had a gun. I said I didn't escape from juvenile and I didn't have a gun on me.
Michael's grandmother says officers told her they were looking for a teenager, not a 10-year-old.
I even searched my own grandson. I said he don't have anything. He should have never been put in no handcuff.
After about 15 minutes, officers released Michael. He says he'll never forget this run-in with Chicago police.
They had handcuffed the wrong person.
Anything can happen. We might need him to call the police, but he's going to be too afraid to even call.
And tonight, police tell us this was a difficult situation. They also say that Michael did run from officers when they approached him, and they also tell us that they have been in contact with his family.
The police superintendent, Eddie Johnson, said they got a call about a young man passing out a gun, and this young brother fit this infamous description. Now, I don't know what they mean by a young man was passing out a gun, but he said, keep in mind, it's difficult for cops to tell if you're 10 years old, so they handcuffed him just to be safe. And we all know they confuse our 10-year-olds with 40-year-olds. And we all look the same and fit the same vague description. But the police said they will investigate themselves. But from all the caping they've been doing already, we can tell what the results are going to be. And we shouldn't be surprised when we find out the results, because we're still dependent on them to investigate themselves. And we don't have the power to punish people for harming our children. But until we respond with that urgency, they're going to continue to harm our children and get rewarded for it. But so many of us are searching for an identity, and I understand our identity has been thoroughly stripped from us. And we're searching for every loophole, for any way to get away from white supremacy besides doing what we know we have to do. Now, it's no offense to anybody's beliefs, but not calling ourselves black or calling ourselves any particular name isn't going to change our circumstances. They don't hate the word black. It is us as a people that is being oppressed regardless of what we call ourselves. A lot of us think claiming a certain nationality will save us, will help us in some way. But at the end of the day, when you're subject to their laws and you're in their courts, they're whatever they want to call you. White supremacy doesn't care if you call yourself a Moorish sovereign citizen. They don't follow their own rules. They change the rules as they go. And the Moors are right there on the terrorist list with everybody else.
You may not have heard of the Moorish Nationals, but police have members claim to follow Moorish science. It comes from a black religious group that's been around for nearly a century. Most of its members obey the law, but not everyone. Chip Reed looks at how some use their religion to justify the crime.
This 35,000-square-foot mansion in an exclusive corner of Bethesda, Maryland, has 12 bedrooms, 17 bathrooms, and trees planted by President Clinton and Vice President Gore. On the market for nearly $6 million, it's not exactly a steal. So imagine real estate agent Jordan Feinberg's surprise when he learned someone had moved into the vacant property.
The owner calls me again and says, the neighbor called, there are people inside the house, claiming they own the house. And I'm like, what?
Lamont Butler, a.k.a. Lamont Maurice L., claimed the mansion for himself. He even provided documents issued by the so-called Moorish National Republic to back it up.
It's a burglary in the purest sense.
Across the country, Butler and many other self-styled Moorish nationals have laid claim to property and status they say is lawfully theirs because their ancestors were here first. In Memphis, Tennessee, Tabitha Gentry staked a claim on this $3 million foreclosed home using heavy chains. Charged with trespassing, burglary, and theft, Gentry, who prefers the name Abka Ray Bey, says as a citizen of the Moorish American National Republic, that land is her land. And this man was arrested by police in Fayetteville, North Carolina, for interfering with a stolen car investigation. But his wife claims the arrest was illegal because he is a member of the Moorish nation.
He had diplomatic immunity. Why are y'all doing this?
Moors trace their beliefs to Noble Drew Ali, who founded the Moorish Science Temple in Chicago in 1925. With tens of thousands of followers, the faith borrows heavily from Islam. It also teaches that all black Americans are Moorish Americans, descendants of an ancient Moroccan global empire, an idea some followers have taken one step further.
So you don't have to get a license plate or a driver's license. You can lay claim to property.
Spencer Dew, who studies the movement, says Moorish Americans have long taken pride in being American citizens. But as the group splintered over the decades, some offshoots abandoned that view.
But I also think we have some opportunistic individuals, some sort of lone wolf elements.
Jeff Fort is perhaps the most notorious movement member. The former leader of a violent Chicago street gang, he was convicted in 1987 of conspiring with Libya's Gaddafi regime to blow up U.S. government buildings.
It's kind of a public relations nightmare. The vast majority of Moorish communities in America are not involved in any of this sovereign citizen ideology, not involved in fraudulent behavior, not involved in criminal acts.
As for Butler, he eventually abandoned the Bethesda mansion, but he still faces charges of burglary, theft, and fraud. He's currently out on bond.
Now, we as a people have to understand, for them, it's not about fairness. It's not about justice. It's not about being right. They don't care what we believe in or what we identify as. We all get the same treatment, but we still argue amongst ourselves, and we've never been quite able to get over our tribal differences to do what we have to do. And Europeans, they have their tribalisms. Different European nations may fight with each other, but at the end of the day, they'll put aside their differences for their whiteness. They'll do what they have to do to maintain their position. White people don't get their power from what they classify themselves. They get their power from their weapons. America gets its power because they have nuclear weapons and they don't allow anybody else to have nuclear weapons. White America said, give me liberty or give me death. But we as a people have been so mentally destroyed, and our history has been destroyed. Our traditions, our practices, all have been destroyed, our languages. And we all suffer from some level of Stockholm Syndrome. But we spend so much time arguing about the past that has been taken from us and destroyed that we don't pay attention to the history that we do know, that we do have access to. If we paid attention to the blueprint our ancestors left us just here in America, it would solve a lot of the problems that we have today. Like how they were able to build their own economy. We'll be in a lot better position than we are right now. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to learn how to protect ourselves. Because whatever we do build, they will come to try to destroy it. We know our ancestors did great things in the past, regardless of what your beliefs are. But it's time for our generation to leave our stamp on the world and put the next generation in a better position, not only to be able to protect themselves, but to be able to thrive in the world. But as long as we keep being divided and conquered, then this stuff is going to keep happening to our children, and all we could do is beg and cry and plead and hope that we get justice. But if we don't protect ourselves, protect our elderly, and protect our children, then nobody will.
I got a bad hair day. Can you fix it for me?
8-year-old Jemiah Rickman is at home today because she doesn't want to go back to Lovejoy Elementary School in Alton after what happened there yesterday.
It was a bad day.
Nehemiah Keaton is Jemiah's uncle and guardian. He says Rickman is autistic and suffers from separation anxiety and depression. Yesterday morning, he got a phone call from the school to pick her up because she was having a tantrum, something he says has happened several times before. He was on his way when he got a phone call from police saying Rickman was in custody.
When I get to the police station to pick her up, her eyes were so swollen from her just crying and crying and crying.
Where were you handcuffed?
On my arms and feet, and they put a Velcro around my waist.
Officials with the Alton School District say they cannot comment on this specific case because of the Illinois Student Records Act, but say when dealing with situations like this, first the school resource officer gets involved, then a parent is contacted. If the parent cannot come, that's when they contact police.
Every time they have ever called me, I have always responded. That's why I did not understand why did they have to go to that extreme to dial 911. They knew I was coming.
Keaton says he's outraged.
She was shackled. I mean, this is a 7-year-old, 8. I'm barely made 8. I mean, and to me, I feel like that was above and beyond.
Do you think the officer that responded to this particular case acted accordingly?
Absolutely.
Captain Scott Waldrop says Alton police officers use great caution before restraining a child, but in this case, he says the officer had no choice.
It was absolutely necessary to protect that child by restraining that child.
I'm hoping that it won't happen to nobody else.
Parents of a 6-year-old girl handcuffed and taken to the police department after a tantrum at school speak out. They want procedures changed by the Baldwin County school system and Milledgeville police so this does not happen again to another child. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor is live in southwest Atlanta with the story. Angelique, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Buck. You know, we just wrapped up with a news conference here minutes ago. Celicius Johnson's parents are telling me that the Baldwin County school system still has not contacted them about this entire episode since it happened on Monday. The parents say they are so disturbed by what happened that they are not only withdrawing her, but her 9-year-old sister from the school system as well. Now, a police report indicates that this 6-year-old pushed other children and was throwing furniture around, trying to run away from Creekside Elementary School on Monday. That is when the school system called police. Now, Celicia's parents and the National Action Network say the school and the police overreacted by treating this child like a criminal. They say she will now need counseling.
Every time she see a police officer, she think they're coming to get her. She can't sleep well, and I can't sleep well thinking about it. And every time she see an officer, she think they're coming to get her.
Has she had nightmares?
Yes.
The principal said she was going to call the police. Then, why did she call the police? I'm not even doing that thing.
Did you ask her to call your mommy? What happened? What did she say?
She said no. She won't put me in the room by myself.
Tell us about the handcuffs. What did they do to your hands?
They hurt me.
The little girl recounted what happened to her on Monday. Now, the school system said they tried to call the parents a number of times. The parent says that's what they would have preferred, that they be contacted first, that they deal with their own child. They say they had active phones. They never heard from the school system. They even questioned whether the school system called them at all. And it was the police department that finally got in touch with this child's aunt, picked her up from police headquarters.
Do not touch me. Grab my, do not touch me. Grab my stuff. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
You're under arrest.
I am not. Excuse me. I am not under arrest. I am not under arrest. This is, excuse me. No. Excuse me. No. Excuse me. Geronimo Bay. I came into a
Geronimo Bay is here on behalf of the Murphy matter.
And he, excuse me. We came in a special appearance on the Murphy matter. And he is attempting.
Judge is abandoned ship.
Judge is abandoned ship. Excuse me. Judge is
no
abandoned
warrant.
ship. That we are here on special appropriate persona on the Murphy matter.
And he has
abandoned ship. Do not.
He has proof that he is not Andre Murphy.
Do not touch me.
He's not Andre. He's not Andre Murphy. Yep. I need badge numbers and everything. I got him. Hey, Dre, Geronimo, don't resist. Geronimo, don't resist.
I'm not. Give me your hand. I'm not resisting. Give me your hand. I'm not resisting.
He's not resisting. That's not mine. It's not your property to touch, and I can definitely videotape.
He has the choke move on me.
Choke move. He's choking him. Choking him. Which officer? Which policy enforcer? Don't touch me. Y'all have your badge. I will have your badge. I am able to record it. It's being recorded. Anybody touch me? I am a private American national. I'm a private American national. You're on my property. This courtroom is on my property. Everybody better have a silver bond.
I'm not Mr. Brown. I'm not Mr. Brown. I'm JL.
You're JL.
Yes. Do you know Article 15 Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People?
Sir, open the door.
Or Article 15 Declaration of Human Rights?
Open the door, let me talk to you. I'm with the U.S. Marshal's office.
I understand. I'm talking to you right now, though.
Open the door, let me talk to you.
Sir, my children right here, I can talk to you just fine.
I'm asking you to open the door so I can talk to you.
And I'm letting you know right now, we're going to speak about international law. Is that correct?
Give me the door, open it. I'm going to break the door down if you don't open it. I have a warrant here for your arrest.
Is that signed off by an Article 3 judge? Is that signed off by an Article 3 judge? Is that signed off by an Article 3 judge? Sir, is that signed off by an Article 3 judge? So it's not. So it's not signed off by an Article 3 judge. So it's not a real warrant. So you don't have a real warrant. So you don't have a real warrant. You broke my door? Here. Record him. Just keep it recorded. No fear. You lock that door? You see the flag? Flag.
Open the door!
Cameron, I'm talking to you, please.
Open the door!
Please calm down. I'm speaking to you civilly.
Open the door. We're gonna open.
Do you have an Article 3 warrant?
Open the door.
So you don't have a real warrant. You deprive me of my rights of color of law. You deprive my rights underneath color of law. You deprive me of my rights of color of law. You don't have a real warrant. Article 15, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone has a right to a nationality. Everyone has a right to a nationality. Everyone has a right to a nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality, nor the right to change their nationality. Article 15. Article 15. I'm watching my children.
Do you have anyone else to watch?
His wife was right here.
I'm watching my children. You're making entrances to my house. Article 15, Declaration of Human
Take your
Rights.
child, man.
No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality, nor the right to change their nationality. Hey! No one shall be arbitrarily. Give her to my wife. Give him to my wife. I'm not resisting and I do not consent. But no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality. Keep recording. You do this in front of my son. I'm being kidnapped. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality.
Come here.
You force entrance into my home.
We're leaving.
You form entrance into my home. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality. Color of law.
If you must express yourself in an appropriate venue, what you never do, no American should ever do, is go to a foreign country and use the platform that you have in a foreign country to criticize your own home. What's wrong with you? I mean, I guarantee you these players were raised better than that. They know better than that, but they've got caught up in this leftist politics nonsense, and they don't understand it. To me, it's traitorous. I know treason is a legal term, but it's treasonous in its import to go to another country and use the platform of another country to criticize your own. And that's what I think the Ravens and the Falcons did in Great Britain. And you don't go to a foreign country and use that as an opportunity to denigrate your own country. But if you're going to do it, have the courage of your convictions and don't come back. Stay there if you think that's so great. Stay there. Now, I've said this jokingly, I've said this tongue-in-cheek, but I'm saying it now seriously. Those of you who won't stand for our flag, who won't stand for our national anthem, who hate our country so much, just leave. I mean, you sports figures have enough money. You could just leave. Renounce your American citizenship and go somewhere else. I mean, just live somewhere. Go find the country that you think is so just and live there and leave us alone.
I'm E.W. Jackson, candidate for U.S. Senate. Under President Trump, our economy is growing at over 3%. 3 million jobs created. Unemployment at 3.9%. Consumer confidence at an 18-year high. Lowest black unemployment rate ever. Bottom line, more money in Americans' pockets. Unlike Tim Kaine, I'll be a senator who stands with President Trump instead of against him. I'm E.W. Jackson, and I approve this message.